Yep, again, we're now in the city of Monrovia, downtown Myrtle, that famous street in Monrovia, California. There's a lot of very interesting shops. And today we're blessed to have the door open to this particular shop. And I think pretty soon I'm going to be approaching the owner. How are you doing today, sir?
Hi, I'm not the owner, I'm the manager.
Your manager?
Yeah.
And your name is?
My name is Ken.
All right, tell the viewers out there about some of the items that's in here.
Well, we've kind of gone over a bunch of the stuff, but we've been closed for 13 years. We're reopening.
Where were you at previously?
Here, been here for over almost 30 years now.
Okay. In this particular spot?
Right. This was a liquor store, and we came in and redid the building and put in all the stained glass windows and redid the ceiling with the clouds and everything.
Yeah, you got one over there.
A little bit of heaven with stained glass windows. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Now, are these items for props in movies, or people can come in and buy them?
Everything here is for sale. Well, not everything, but most of the stuff here is for sale.
All right.
We don't rent to studios. They tend to tear stuff up too much.
Oh,
And the type of stuff that they use lesser quality merchandise as a general rule. So,
oh, okay. Now, and my viewers are probably hearing tick tock in the back as Dirk goes on to the camera. Tell me something about some of the items right around in this little area.
Well, most of the stuff is just pretty conventional stuff. There are some cuckoo clocks, and some of the wall clocks date back to before the turn of the century, but
there's something getting ready to happen. What's going on?
That's that cuckoo clock back in the corner just did chimed 11 times, so it must be getting close to 11 o'clock. There's no way to keep everything all set where it's all synchronized up. Everything kind of goes off when it wants to go off.
You have another cabinet there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What year is that from?
Interesting. Look at the artwork on the wood carving on that.
That cabinet's from the mid 1700s, maybe as back as far as the 1600s. It's it would be impossible to duplicate it. There just aren't, the craftsmen just don't exist anymore. At least in the United States.
Where do you get something like? How do you acquire something like this?
Purchased over in Europe and transported over here.
And then shipped over here.
Yeah.
Sometimes it never hurts to have a little luck, like with your other cabinet way over there.
Yeah. That one came off of a patio out in
that was luck.
West Covina.
Out of West Covina. A little violin.
Actually, it's a cello.
Okay. A cello, yeah. What was I thinking? Maybe the size threw me off, huh?
Yeah, and it's just a music box. It's a simple music box. It has a wind up on the back. And
okay.
And these are a little fancier.
All right, here goes the cuckoo clock. Is somebody going to pop out of one of them?
Yeah, there'll be the one in the middle right there. There'll be something popping out of that in probably a minute or so.
Oh, is this a music box right here?
What's that?
That's another
Yeah,
one.
That's another music box.
That takes another brass roll. They're brass, right?
Yeah, the way these are made is they have a brass cylinder that plays a comb. The comb has about 150 teeth on it. And let's see here, we'll wind this up a little bit. And turn it on.
Now, what year was this?
These
Era.
This is probably 1880s, might be 1870s. They made them prolifically from the 1840s, 50s.
Wow.
The mechanisms were primarily made in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. And the cabinetry was made usually in France. This is a French or Italian cabinet.
So this is one unit here, huh?
No, this actually comes off. You could buy just the player. Okay. And generally when you bought that, you bought it with one cylinder. If you wanted to really splurge and spend back then $1,400, you could buy a cabinet.
And this is software back in the 19th century.
There you go. There was your software. Each one of these cylinders has about between 1,500 and 5,000 pins on it.
All right, there goes the clock. Do you know the history of the cuckoo clock?
No.
I don't either.
No, I don't know why anybody would make one, to be quite honest. They're noisy and I don't think they're very attractive, but they're interesting, you know?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I loved them.
Yeah, I think that's the infatuation. When you're a kid, they're a wonderful thing to have.
Oh, there's the violin. I love the
Yeah, there's a
cello
violin.
I'm hearing, there's the violin.
There's a
there.
violin. That's a children's size, like for a
Okay.
5-year-old, 5-6-year-old.
You want to butter your toast in style?
There you go. Yep.
Quite interesting. Now this is really like touring a museum in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the stuff here is museum quality stuff. That painting against the wall back there, I don't know if you can get a picture of that.
The cotton pickers.
Right, and that's from 1860s, right after the Civil War. It's by an artist known, a well-known artist, William Akins Walker.
Yes.
Those were the type of things he typically painted. Now on the back of that piece it says one for $8, two for $12, and the name of it is Field, F-I-E-L-D.
Oh, okay.
And this is where the magic is.
Oh yeah,
I'm in the secret
all my junk.
backstage
this
here.
Is where the mental capacity is being tested, huh?
All my junk.
Camera collection.
Yeah, I like cameras. I've collected cameras since I was 8 years old. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
What grabbed you to camera?
I think because I like the mechanics of them. I've always been fascinated. Cameras that were made. This camera takes no batteries, and it's fully automatic. It has a built-in light meter. The light meter is completely separate, completely built into it and coupled to the lens and the exposure. And I'm wrong. That one does have a battery. That's the last model of the Contaflex line.
All right,
But-
tell me. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask the two contrasting figurines in the back.
Yep. A terracotta soldier from Xi'an in Beijing, and a suit of armor dates to the 1600s from Europe, probably Spain, from the shape of the helmet.
And then right above a quite common painting, drawing.
The Black Madonna, very revered saint saint, not a saint, Madonna, very revered effigy in Poland.
Yes.
There's a real long story that goes with it that I'm not entirely familiar with, but it's pretty fascinating as to how it became so revered.
All right, tell me something about this work of art cabinet. Truly, how the heck did you get it over here, and where's it?
Well, it breaks down into a lot of pieces, and it was shipped from Europe, turn of the century. This is a silver cabinet. It was made for the Austrian royal family in the 1700s. It's all solid walnut, and each one of the drawers were fitted. You can see it was never used. There's no wear on the drawer. So all they did when it was delivered, it was probably a gift to from the period. It was a gift to Maria Theresa, and the silver was probably stripped out of it, melted, and used, put into to fight a war or who knows what. And the cabinet was crated up and put into storage someplace, and later on, somehow it got shipped to the United States, ended up on a patio in West Covina where we got it from.
On a patio?
Yeah, in a whole bunch of crates. Yeah.
I wanted to keep you over in that corner because I see two black figurines. I was wondering from what time period and what was the history behind them.
You know, I don't know. They're litter bearers or coach bearers. You can see from the way their arms are extended, there would be probably, they might have been carrying a king or something in a carriage between the two of them, but those are the only two pieces of it that I have. I haven't done a lot of research on those, but they're...
Would you know from what country?
I have no idea.
No time period at all.
Don't know.
So how, when you're doing research, how do you get the history of the object? Does something come with it, or? Sometimes
you get provenance, you get a bill of sale or a story that goes with it from whoever you bought it from, or whoever you got it from. It's like this is a. Go ahead and try to lift up the top on that.
Oh, I did have my Wheaties. Whoa.
This is a.
What the heck is this for?
Oops, excuse me. This is a safe, basically from the 1600s, and the richest people in town would have this in their house somewhere, and they'd keep all of the. They were usually whoever was in charge of the town, so they had all the local documents and everything.
Oh, what's all this?
Well, you'll see in the front there's a place to put a key in.
Yeah.
But if you look on the inside, there's nothing on the inside for that. It's a dummy, okay? And this was the actual lock for the mechanism. And after being buried in a field for some 200 and some odd years, it still is all functional. And if you had the key, if you had the key, you could open it that way. But what they would do is they'd take this thing and they'd break into wherever it was, probably kill whoever was there, because you didn't have any way to get you and your 6 guys that had to carry this thing, had to make a quick getaway, right? So you lugged this thing out, threw it in the back of your ox cart that made 2 miles an hour.
Your getaway.
Your getaway car, and you took it out to a field someplace or a forest, and then you tried to get into it, and there would have been 2 big locks. I have to put this on here so it doesn't completely close. There would have been 2 big locks on the front of it. You had to get off first, and then you had to tackle the lock on the inside of the top to get into it. Who knows? But
I mean, when you got it, what was it?
Oh, nothing. The funny thing is that the easy way to get into it, they realized after a while, was to tip it up on its side and poke a hole in the bottom. You can see this one had a hole in the bottom.
Wow.
Because the bottom's real thin.
The belly of the box was...
So they'd beat a hole in the bottom and stick their hand in there and take whatever was in there out. If they got lucky, there was a whole bunch of gold or something in it.
Let's turn the corner around over here. And I see a little horse that my grandson probably would love. But what's the history of this here?
Those were made in the 1950s, and they were, you actually put your feet in the stirrups and jumped up and down, and they would move forward. You put your feet up and you just jumped up and down, and the thing's legs would move and it would go forward. I remember when I was a kid, if you had some money, you had something like that. Didn't have any money, so I didn't have anything like that.
Okay. And don't even get me in that mix. Quite interesting, fascinating, a place everyone should take the time to come in.
I love everything in here. I've circled around. This is my second time today, and I'm seeing more stuff.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
The cabinets.
Well, here's an interesting piece. This is if back in the and this has a neat kind of a neat story to it, in as much as I was demonstrating this thing about 6 months ago, and some guy was walking by and he said, "Hey," he said, "is that an organ grinder's organ?" And I said, "Yeah, it is, as a matter of fact." He goes, "My grandfather played one of those down in Chinatown. He was Italian, And that's how he made a living and put his kids through school and bought property. He made enough money playing this thing. And it's a barrel organ. It's actually an organ on this side. It has all the pipes like a regular organ. And on this side it has a barrel, very similar to the cylinder here.
Yeah.
But this has pins that come up and they're bent over so they have a longer duration. So when you crank it,
I was just going to ask, does it work?
And I guess your crank makes air?
yeah, it
And that
operates
pushes
a
that.
bellows, okay? And just like that organ right there, same thing. Actually, the organ works on suction. This works on
Let's put that back
pressure.
over there.
Yeah.
Hello, how you doing?
Situated so it won't fall. Tell me about this interesting.
This is also a music box. This dates to the 1890s.
It's a jukebox of the 1890s.
Right. And this is completely mechanical. And over there you'll see a unit that has a single disc next to the picture on the floor.
Oh,
And that
which
plays
one?
a single disc.
This one?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I see.
This one had the advantage you could play multiple discs on it, like if you wanted to sit back and entertain people. But usually these were in bars or saloons, and they were coin operated.
The original LP.
Well, sort of in a way, yeah, I guess. Let's see. And these are made like pianos in as much as the case, the soundboard is bolted directly to the case, so the case picks up all the vibration and acts like a speaker. And because the case is a speaker, by closing it, it really doesn't change the volume much.
Beautiful,
Yeah. And you can crank it up and let it play, and it'll play about 30 minutes on one wind, depending on what speed you had it set at. And the discs play for about a minute and 15 to a minute and 20 seconds apiece. Most of them you see don't work. This is a very unusual machine. I only know of one other one, and it's up in, when it gets around to this slot right here, it tells it that that's over, and it picks up another one. It goes to the next disc. Loads it and plays the next disc. You don't need to.
Quite amazing.
Look at this little wheelbarrow here. Amazing.
That would have been the same thing as this. That would have been, they're called hurdy-gurdies, and you would have taken that and played it. That one is non-functional. That one doesn't, that one plays a piano type reel inside of it.
Tell me about this here.
That's an Apple computer from the 1995. They were called a Newton. That's their first laptop, basically, and those were issued to school children that were privileged enough to be in a class where they had computers.
Wow.
And basically, it's a word processor. It doesn't do graphics or anything, but
You can type your
you could,
notes.
You could do all. Yeah, you could do. They later programmed them to do a lot of mathematical stuff and everything, but they were used primarily as word
Well,
processors.
I think we're going to go biblical right now, because she danced for the head of
Oh yeah,
John the Baptist.
Saint Peter, I think. John the Baptist. You're right.
Yeah, John the
And
Baptist.
Salome.
Yes,
Yeah,
quite interesting.
yeah.
I remember you were showing me They have that thing from Asia over there, that large
Butsudan.
Butsudan, yes.
What is a Butsudan?
A Butsudan
Well, yeah.
is an Asian, Japanese temple, Buddhist temple. And they were made to pay respect to departed Buddhist elders. The religion changed in the mid-century in Japan, and there were fewer and fewer Buddhists, and a lot of Buddhists had both this and a Shinto type temple inside their house. These were, depending on how much money you had, most of them were very small. They were the size of a small box. This is quite large. They do actually, I've seen one larger than this, but this is large for what it was. What you did is you put remembrances of all of your family, of your departed Buddhist relatives in here. And then what happened to these is
the detail.
Is as the Buddhist religion, well, it didn't fail, as it just kind of waned in Japan.
Decline.
Yeah, the people would give away all of the trappings inside of it, and there was a ceremony, and they went out and they would take the shrine and they'd burn the shrine.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of these don't exist anymore. This dates back to the early 20th century.
Now, who would buy something like this?
I don't know. Somebody gave it. This was from a friend of mine many years ago, and it was his family shrine, and they were going to get rid of it, and he knew that I really liked it, and so he gave it to me. So that's one of the items that's not for sale.
All right, I see a drum.
Yeah, that's a American Indian drum. You know, ceremonial drum for
You know what
dancing.
tribe?
I have no idea. Balalaika from Russia.
Oh.
Okay, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Are those real tusks over there? That little stool?
Those are actually horns. That stool is they're horns off of
Where?
young cattle.
Here?
The step stool on top of that
Oh.
cabinet.
Oh my goodness.
A different set of legs. So.
A little bit of different stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
And
What's the most common asked question when people come to read?
What's my so-and-so worth that my grandmother gave me?
Oh, and you got more of your windows, your fake windows.
Yeah.
I love them because they look real.
Yeah.
I mean they are real, but
Are you selling the book press over here?
No. I use it for everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
oh, this?
Yeah.
Crack nuts.
That's a book press.
Probably.
Well, no, I actually use it for. We do restorations, and I've used it. I used it last week to on some ephemera, some paper, pamphlets and stuff, to
Rebind them?
well, not to rebind them, but to flatten them out. You can put a document in there that's been wadded up, okay, and you can dampen it very slightly and put it in there and
Put wool
and
above and below?
exactly felt, wool felt, and press it in there and remove almost all of the imperfections in it. I mean, it'll still show that it was folded and creased if it was creased real heavily, but it'll remove a lot of the imperfections in it. Here's an interesting piece. I always tell people if they can tell me what this is, they can have it. And you can
for
see I
coffee?
still have it. It's 20 years later, I still have it. So
Something for coffee?
no.
The hell's a...
Everybody thinks it's a juice press like this.
I think it's an olive press.
No. It's a duck press,
Duck, like quack
As in-
quack.
like quack quack duck. They would take a table like similar to this back in the 1890s to the 1900s, and that would be, you see it has screw holes in the bottom of the feet? That would be mounted on the end of the table.
Okay.
This would be used for carving. They'd have a big platter with a couple of ducks on it, and they'd take the duck and they'd cut his legs off and the breast off the meat off the breast, and serve that to you. And then they'd put the carcass in there and get all of the oil and the juice from the marrow in it and everything, press it out. It would run into a dish on the table, and then they'd make a sauce and pour it over the duck. It's a duck press. Later on, they'd use them for lobster. Okay?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, they used them for lobster and would do the same thing with the lobster shells and butter and serve lobster that way.
Are the daguerreotypes for sale?
Cookie jar.
Well, those are not daguerreotypes. Those are glass negatives.
Okay.
They aren't positives. Daguerreotypes are positives.
Okay.
Okay, and they're usually on tin but sometimes on glass. They're usually on tin, and then they're covered with glass, and they have a folded copper edge on them that's solid type of thing. But yeah, they're for sale. Just the smaller ones are like $10 a piece, and the larger ones are $15. That's boy, if you wanted to listen to all over the world back in 1958, 59, 60, okay, you had a Blaupunk, Virginia, and you could tune in any place in the world with
And
that.
pick it up, huh?
You got
Yeah.
the short waves, right?
Everything. Hi.
Is banjo for sale?
Yeah, $450.
I'll do some research on it. It's a beautiful piece. I love the lacquer back there.
It's not lacquered.
Is it?
No.
Got some money in here?
The back on it, okay, is the whole. Let me go back here. The back on it is the same composition. It's a plastic, okay. This dates to about 1950, late 1950s, okay, and like you said, it's a beautiful piece, okay. The fifth string, which is always broken on these things, there's a bunch. There's some extra ones in there, but yeah, it's a B&D Senorita. Like I said, from the 1950s.
That's very cool.
Yeah, but
The case is in great shape as well.
oh, everything. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Does most of the stuff you get come from like estate sales and whatnot?
No, this piece we probably I probably had that 25 years.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It wouldn't be in that shape if anybody had been playing it. Believe me. They get beat up. Banjos get beat up really fast.
Boy, another cabinet.
Yeah, that one dates back a little. That one's probably 1530s, something like that. 1630s, 1640s.
Wow, that's old.
Yeah,
Whoosh.
it's like you. What's that?
The wheels, there's a spinning
No, there's a
wheel.
couple of them. There's 2 or 3 of them around. Yeah, there's some of them are for tables. Some of them are actually for chairs. But
You think we got everything?
Is it for sale?
everything's for sale.
You think we're done?
Except for the
Well, that's not true. Yeah, everything is not for sale. That's,
It's like walking to a museum except you can buy stuff.
Yeah. it is like a museum.
In so many different ways.
well, actually, there are a few things that. Which one did you want? The one in the far corner? Oh, wow.
And they shipped them over
I don't know if
from
I can
Europe
even
get
get to
here.
it, to be
And
quite
you look
honest.
At the size of some of them, and you're just fascinated. This door I've always loved.
Oh,
This door is
the
amazing.
door itself to come in.
617 Myrtle in downtown Monrovia. A very interesting place. It's unbelievable once you get inside here.
Pick up that chair and move it for me.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I know it's got cast iron days.
Uh-huh.
If you're an art lover or a historian, this is the place that you have to come to.
That's as close as I'm going to
gotta
get
have
you there.
some money, too.
Okay. Yeah, those chairs are. These came off the Titanic.
I was going a half hour.
Well, not really, but
Really?
that's what they're.
all over the place.
They're
Yeah,
shipped
yeah.
chairs for
And he played
library
that
chairs or
record
dining
where
chairs
they're
out of.
standing at right now.
Okay,
And this one's
is
numbered.
like,
You would be
if
seated
you tune
in
in on television
seat number
and you're
98,
watching
I think it
the
says.
antique show and you're wondering what things are, Monrovia.
I'd have to get you a price on them.
Antique
I can do
store
that pretty
that you can actually come in
Oh yeah.
and purchase items.
on either or both.
Oh, I know. I can't even put into words
Yes,
how,
yes.
how you will not be disappointed if you come in here.
You'll be spellbound. To say the least.
Is that it? Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. I want to thank you again
Absolutely.
so much, sir, for allowing us to share this with the community.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Hopefully we'll have maybe increase some customers coming through. And we talked about the past, but we even have something from the
Oh yeah.
current
Well,
period.
you know what though? That's not that current. That's
No.
Toy Story. 25 years old now.
Yeah, 25 years old.
Isn't that amazing?
I know.
So
It's old now. It's
I mean,
old
you,
now.
you see stuff like that and you think, oh yeah, this is current.
Oh,
This
and
is
then, you're pointing out
Oh,
Darth Vader.
there. That's newer. They still sell those at J.C. Penney's or something.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was new when I was in high school. Darth Vader.
Uh huh.
How old is this now? I feel like
25.
25 years old. Isn't that terrible?
25 years old. And it only seems like it was yesterday, right?
I know.
Oh boy. Look at the customers, fascinated by
Oh,
this.
these-
What's this wheel over there, sir?
Oh, it's the spinning
Do some
wheel.
sewing?
Spinning wheel.
That was back in the day. I remember these first came out in the 80s, and everybody had one.
Oh, yeah.
But you could never have around kids because the minute you bumped into it, it broke.
What's that?
The
dome.
clock. The
Oh
dome
no,
clock.
those clocks. That one right there. They see the great big one.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That date's clear. That's really a rare clock. They're you see very seldom do you see them in that size, and that dates to probably 1920, 1919, 1920.
Because remember there was a revival in the 80s of these.
Yeah, that's this one. Yeah, this one is quartz. This is not. That's mechanical. That one winds up with a key and you wind it once every year. That's why they were called anniversary clocks, because
No.
you remembered to wind them once a year on your anniversary, and it'd run for a year on one winding.
Tell me about the rosaries over here.
When we bought a couple of churches and everything over in and everything in them, and that was some of the stuff. Some of those are from the actual gift store that was inside the church.
Oh, okay. You had a question. What was your question?
Wait, is that actual whiskey?
No, there's no whiskey in that. It's a prop.
Iced tea.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Man, how fascinating.
Oh, I guess for a bunch of movies.
All right. And that's the boss's name, and his name is Ken.
All right.
He's the owner. I'm the boss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go.
Actually, Michael does all the restorations and that sort of thing. Hello. Come on.
I guess that's it. I'll turn it off. Oh, sorry.
Not until we really told me out.
All right.
You say you were through here already before.
Yeah. We could do one more circle.
Hello,
Walk
Michael.
around.
How are you?
You want to-
I have a couple of customers here that are interested in the spinning wheels. Do you have prices on any of these
Oh, you
things?
played this? The wax thing? Did you see that? And he put up
You there
he
still?
put the horn and everything. He's got a horn for it.
Okay.
And this
Hello.
holds the horn.
Okay.
And you put that up there. He's got the horn way over there. And
What's that?
The telephone right there.
Oh yeah,
back when you were in high school, Ralph?
it's
What was it
it
about?
was
I don't know.
Western
What was the
Electric's
play?
copy of
You got a windmill.
the Princess phone. You know, the
Yeah.
Princess
Okay.
the Princess
Good
phones
video,
were a
huh?
little more rounded and everything,
For their
but these
universal
had
healthcare.
these were a little fancier. They
Oh,
had
this guy
lighted
here.
dials and a
Oh, it
built-in
looks like a
ringer.
racetrack.
The Princess phones
It
didn't
says
have a
Desperate
bell
Odds.
inside of them. The early ones
that's
especially.
not a racetrack
The
with
later ones
swords.
did, I think, but
Oh, they got swords? All right.
that was
They get a
actually
little physical over
in
there.
my
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
daughter's bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I just
Yeah,
cut
you
the
knew,
cord
yeah.
on it and
Oh yeah,
You guys hung out.
Napoleon.
Yeah, I feel like it makes me like want to get a landline again. Just to feel like
Look at this clock.
yeah.
Stainless steel clock.
yeah, what I did is
Futuristic
I
in
have a
lot
little
of
box
ways.
that hooks up to.
It could be
I can answer one of those phones on my cell thing.
unbelievable.
Oh, okay.
They make a little adapter so
Yeah.
that you can
More
just plug
cabinets?
yourself. You
Oh,
can
wow.
plug your telephone
Love
into your cell
wood.
phone, but then you
Okay.
have to have
That's for
power
sure.
for it too,
Yeah,
because they draw so much power.
Oh, makes sense.
But it's fun. It's interesting.
It would be fun. Sit there and like
Uh huh.
12 o'clock.
Again. Typewriters. Hey, Ralph, you want to make a phone call?
Toys from the 1950s.
Back in the day, dial it up, right?
Yeah, that's good. There we go. Yeah.
My site
What-
is.
what was
better
this?
now. Oh my God! Look like a church. Huh?
Yeah, it's like a cabinet, but it looks like a building.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
it.
they're the panels that go in there are tapestry.
Okay.
You see this piece down here on the floor? If you look at it real close, that's woven silk. That picture,
The picture.
Oh,
the picture
this?
right there. No,
No,
the
no,
picture on
no.
the floor.
Oh my
The
goodness.
crucifixion.
That's woven silk. Okay. So is this one up here? The picture of Christ. That's woven silk. They
All right, now explain to the viewers out there. They might be a bit young and they want woven silk. What do you mean?
well, it was it's like a tapestry, a picture that was woven into the design. They used different threads. You can see get a closer example of it right here. And
Woven silk.
they had a machine. They developed a machine in Europe that was capable of reproducing almost a photographic quality picture using thread.
Oh, and they had a machine, huh?
Yeah, they were these looms from the 1870s, 80s, 90s. Very collectible. People collect them.
This oil painting up top.
Yeah, that's Dascom, and it's from the 1960s. He's a well-known artist in Chile,
Oh,
and he does his artwork is primarily birds, wildlife, that sort of thing.
So how do you end up with people?
Well, his family moved to Chile. They were they weren't ambassadors, but they were in that core of people, and they moved to Chile in the 1960s, early 1960s.
Now, what's his name again, the artist?
Dascom, D-A-S-K-A-M.
What's the history of this particular painting? Because the people don't appear to be too happy.
No, these are under Pinchot. There was in Chile.
Okay,
A lot of people just disappeared off the face of the earth, and this is his representation of the people that just disappeared. You notice that there's only one person in this entire painting that's looking directly at you, and that's this guy right here.
Which one?
2 over and 1 up.
Yeah.
Right there.
Right.
Okay, and he's looking at you almost from any place that you go. Everybody else is kind of looking towards you, but you know.
Wait, are you talking about this guy right here?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
But the people are all lost. And they fade into the background. They just disappear.
And then these are real windows with some stained glass in them.
Right. Well, no.
Oh, is this original?
No. They're windows from the same church,
And then
but
you
there
put
are
them-
windows
but they fit in here.
on the outside, and there are lights behind them. But the lights need to
But
be.
they fit
done.
in. They fit into the real windows. So
Uh-huh,
you got lucky.
Well, actually, the real windows were a little bit narrower, but we made them fit. Sometimes you just make them
So
fit.
each one's different?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that cute?
Oh, tell us the history. We was this here.
What's
this
that?
Particular. What was the country?
Well, I would say it was probably the northern part of Germany, bordering on the Netherlands, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
No.
No.
I have no idea. Back then, things changed on a daily basis. You could be Polish one day and German the next, and Austrian the next, and vice versa.
The way current conditions are going, that's history has a way of repeating
Uh-huh.
itself in some ways.
How much is this?
$450.
Okay, I figured it would probably be out of my budget.
Why? That's not out of your budget.
Oh, trust me, it's out of my
You
budget.
just don't drink Starbucks for a couple of days, you know?
I haven't been drinking Starbucks in all honesty. Like, today's the first time I've had a coffee in a couple of weeks.
I'm
but
just
yeah.
kidding. No, that's it's a German or Polish artist. I don't know who the artist is,
Yeah,
but
I
it's a
can see the
really,
initials, that
really
it's
nice
probably-
piece. Yeah, really
Yeah.
nice piece.
It's gorgeous, and that's one of my favorite stories. Is like bring me the head of John the Baptist.
the
There's
Baptist,
something so
exactly.
enigmatic about that. Yeah.
And I guess it's Salome's daughter that does the dance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Salome
Right.
that does
No,
the
she's
dance.
the one that
so-
requests for the head,
Right,
but
she wants the
I
head.
think the king makes Salome's daughter
Right,
dance for
right,
him is what happens. That's the request.
A mesmerizing dance.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
fascinating.
It's a fantastic piece for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could be leading with that today, but
That caught my eye too,
yeah.
because it
There's a
brought
lot
the
in
whole
here.
history of that story
Exactly.
right into that piece right there.
Exactly. You know immediately when you look at it what's going on there.
You want to know something? Most people don't.
Really?
Well, most people to begin with aren't Christians, but
Yeah.
most people are not familiar with the story. If you ask them about it, even if you tell them what it is, they go, "What?
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me? That's in the Bible? Things like that are in the Bible?
There's a lot like that in the Bible.
Obviously, they don't read.
Yeah.
They chop people's heads off for
I
nothing?"
remember that's one of the first things that I learned about in school. I went to a private Christian school as a child, so that's one of the first things
Uh-huh.
that they tell you because, yeah, it's like the Romans, weren't the nicest people, and yeah, so. But that's always stuff.
Yeah, everybody took their time terrorizing everybody else.
Yeah, definitely.
They all took their turns, so.
So true.
But yeah, there are a lot of beautiful things in here. How long have you been here?
30 years,
30 years?
but
It
we've
seems
been
like it would
closed
have to
for
be
the
a
last
long
13, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When did you open up? Again?
I've been here now in and out for about 7 months, 6 months.
Okay.
But I'm not open every day. I'm only open when I want to be open.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, I wish I could leave with that piece today.
Isn't that great? Look at his tongue. That's his tongue hanging over.
Put it on your Christmas list and maybe you'll get it.
Maybe. I'll have to wish really hard.
Put it on your
It's actually a
Christmas
good
list.
sign. It's
He's got
it's
he's
supposed
got
to be,
decorations coming out here.
that'll
that's
be coming up
Garda,
next.
and that's
Big
Vishnu
Christmas tree.
on the back,
Oh, yeah,
on his
yeah,
back.
yeah.
They turned out.
Well, no, that's just he was just a protector.
Who's the protector?
Garda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We're gonna go this way anyways. Thank you so much.
Come back, save your nickels and
I'll have
dimes.
to. I will have to.
All right. You'll have the only one on the block. I guarantee you'll have the only one in California.
Who is this?
That's Garda. Okay, it's a Indian god, and Vishnu is on his back. Vishnu is the multi-armed goddess, I guess, and god or goddess. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the stuff. I know I bought it and it was. I liked it. I bought it in Bali many years ago.
It's a good looking piece.
Yeah. Must have been fantastic when it was new and all painted bright colors and
Oh, back in the day.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, what's this?
But I don't know where I put it there.
This is a bore sight for a rifle. You'd stick this down the bore of the rifle, okay, and then the rifle would be set on a tripod or actually in a jig, and there'd be a target down there, and you'd put this in the bore and look through here, and if you look through here, you'll see what's over here,
Oh, I see.
okay, which is straight down that direction.
Okay.
And you could, is a tapered fit, so it'd fit a bore up to, well, that looks like about probably clear up to almost a 38. So anyway, you'd put this in the bore, and then you could look through here, and you could dial in the sights on the rifle.
Oh, so the sights are accurate.
Exactly. Very accurate. They didn't use bore sights, you know, these were like used for setting up sniper rifles, that sort of thing.
Oh, I see. So like the morning before you went out, made sure your sights
You
were
could check
out there.
everything. Actually, they do it, you know, well ahead of time, but yeah.
Wait, so that's for a gun?
That's to set the sights on a gun.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So that you could set the sights on a rifle very accurately. If you look through here, you'll see that what you're looking at is going to be to the side there. Now picture the rifle being right here. The rifle would be right here, okay? And this would be stuck right down the barrel of the rifle. So when you look through here, it's like looking down the barrel of the rifle. So you're going to see exactly where that bullet's going to travel as it leaves the end of the barrel of the rifle. This is called a swedge or a tapered fit. So it would lock into the end of the barrel, not really tightly, but it would lock in enough that it wouldn't move. And it has crosshairs in here. You saw that, right? And you just dial the sights in. You look down the sights until you got the sight dialed in to match that.
And then what's this?
This?
Yeah.
That's how cigarettes were packed in 1939, 1940, 41, before the war.
Oh, I see. There we go. Well, thank you very much.
Sure, no
Thank
problem.
You gotta look at the stuff. You know, when we put it on YouTube, I'll tell you, so you can watch it on YouTube or
Great.
tell your friends, your family, say hey. You know.
Pretty cool.
Like a cat in a corner. This is where I find myself.
Oh, you're a bad kitty.
Fascinated by even more art.
Well, she had her hand was missing, and I found it. We were cleaning yesterday, and I found her hand. So I made sure it still fits, and I haven't glued it back in place yet.
Oh, okay.
That's why she has a rag around her hand.
Okay, she's mending.
She's mending. She's resting right now.
How old is she?
Oh, probably 200 years old.
Doesn't look like a day over 37.
Yeah.
Day over 30.
29?
Still a young woman.
Wait,
Yeah,
no,
day over
39. It was Jack Benny was always 39 years old.
Tell me something about the cigar man or the tobacco man.
Cigar Store Indian. It's not a reproduction. It's an original piece. It's been refinished and redone. It's actually here. It belongs to part of an estate that was damaged in a fire, and we had to bring it in and clean it up. And it's a nice piece.
He survived the fire.
He survived the fire, smoke damage. Yeah.
Okay. Now there's another interesting piece we talk about.
Oh,
that
yeah.
had John the Baptist, but we see a
I'm gonna have to go outside.
New Guinea.
indigenous Indian
Right.
with two heads.
And a body between his legs down there, if you look. The body's,
Oh, the head was decapitated.
oh yeah.
You know what tribe this was?
Well, it's a depiction, okay, of the New Guinea headhunters, probably Sepik River. It would go along with that mask that's up there. You'll see that
Okay.
mask that's hanging up.
Wow, how interesting is this? And he even has a pipe.
What they would do with those is, after they cut their heads off like that, they'd take all the insides out of the head and sew the mouth shut and the eyes shut, and then
Sorry. Oh, did I hurt it? Sorry.
that's all right. They'd take the thing and fill it up with sand or dirt or moss or whatever, and let the skin shrink down. And that's where they got shrunken heads.
A New Guinea headhunter.
Mm-hmm.
What a life.
Yeah.
How many times, Ralph, have you wished you could sew my lips shut?
Just make it out of here gingerly, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
My lady on the floor, you'll be up and standing pretty soon.
Yeah, she'll be back up tomorrow
Oh,
or
I forgot
Monday.
these here, the serpent candle, light holders.
Those are reproductions. They probably date from turn of the century. They would have been, they would have originally been for candles. Probably those were probably used for plants.
Okay.
Well, they weren't candles. What they were is they had a big oil lamp in them.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
As we fight our way to the door, we keep finding ourselves coming back in again.
More and more stuff.
More and more stuff. Every corner, every crevice has something for someone.
You'll like this. Here. Be careful. This is real expensive. That piece of tape there will keep the slide from falling out, but if you look through there, it's a stereoscopic slide viewer.
Wow.
That car's like a 1923 Voisin French-made car. This would be the camera that was taken with.
And then it would make the slides that would fit in there.
Would make, yeah. This has got a film back on it as opposed to the back for the slides, and that viewer could be used for either one. You could either view stereo slides or stereo pictures. This one was made so that you could open the mirror up. You could open this up, and the mirror would catch the light and reflect it down onto the photograph that you put here. And you'd lay the photograph in here, close that, and then you could see the stereo.
Wow.
So you get a full stereo effect. Like, your dad had a thing called a, what were they called?
Yeah, I can't think of the name now, but I know what you're talking about.
They were made by a company called Sawyer. Viewmatic or?
Yeah, Viewmaster.
Viewmaster.
That was the big thing back then.
Oh yeah, everybody, and they
Every kid had one.
they
for
licensed
Christmas.
them to everybody.
Yeah,
It kind of looks like.
and you had the wheels. You had picture wheels, and you could.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like feeling the spirit of Hugh Hauser. I feel like Hugh Hauser
Wow.
into a place saying, where did this come from? What's the history behind that?
Look at this. This is an oil painting on a piece of ivory.
Uh-huh.
You should go back from it to get an idea of the size of it. It's quite small. They even have, you can tell the men from the women because of the clothing they have on them.
And you talking about this one? Yeah.
Right there.
All right.
Probably need a little more light on it, huh?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Shed a little light on it.
Oh. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I got it focused in good. Man, look at that. It's a beautiful little picture.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Now, do you have anything from the Civil War period?
That's too modern.
Civil War? This?
That's too modern for this place.
Civil War?
Well, I could go before and after the Civil War.
Yeah.
That was right after this. Well, 1864, 65. It was probably right after, but
Okay.
Civil War, yeah. 18. Back here? Well, this is a little bit before the Civil War.
Okay.
It's a 13-star flag.
Oh, I want to get myself one of those. Oh, that's a different 13 star. I want to get the kind that's in a circle.
Yeah,
I
well,
was gonna
that's
hang that up in my house.
but that's a genuine 13-star flag from the 18. They used them up until the 1850s. That one's probably between 1830 and 1850.
Wow.
Look at the cabinet behind it. My
See the
Lord.
date on that cabinet?
Ooh.
How old do you think that cabinet is? It has a date on the front of it. I can give you a hint.
Speak, old wise one.
This cabinet is from 1653.
Ooh.
Wow.
You're
Man.
talking about some.
This is your junk room.
This was the office. You know, it's terrible. Look at this cabinet over here. This came out of a monastery.
What do the
That
doors
dates
come
to-
from? These doors are. Ooh,
Came from a monastery over in Prague.
Wow. Look at the chandelier.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
That would be probably from a hunting lodge up in Austria or.
Oh,
That
I have a
area?
question. Is it a remake or original?
What's that?
13, sorry.
That's a genuine flag. That flag flew 150, 160 years ago. That would have
and
flown
here's
over.
Not the LA Rams.
No, this isn't the LA Rams chandelier?
No, it's not.
Oh my goodness, I'm learning so much. Was this the desk you worked on? Well, look at these paintings more.
Question.
Turn around, the one behind over there is a painting.
You gotta be just kidding.
I know it.
If you don't mind me asking, what's with all the books and magazines?
Well, that's the research.
Oh,
You know, those are from auction companies
Is that
and
your hat?
that kind of sort of thing.
From back when you were a young man?
When I was
wow.
flying the plane.
Back when you were flying the old biplanes there around?
Okay. Tell me about this. Where you at, sir?
Pilot's helmet, World War II, early.
Helmet? rather
Well,
soft.
that was a liner, you know.
Okay. Oh,
They
okay.
didn't wear helmets,
Right.
okay?
Right.
You needed to keep yourself warm. You didn't need to keep yourself from bumping your head. If you were going to bump your head, you're probably going to go down. So
Yeah,
you know,
you had
And
worse
what
things
type
than-
of plane would I be in?
you'd be in probably a jet fighter, or you could be in anything basically. Probably with that, you'd probably be in a.
It's cold up here.
Exactly. You could be a machine gunner in a plane somewhere.
I got him. Imagination is unbelievable up in here. Unbelievable. Walking and touching history.
Louis Vuitton bags. Just there's a
You got a woman here with the
Yeah, with a German pickle helmet on.
Yes, yes, that helmet, quite interesting. Up here, who is this here? I've seen this face before.
I don't know, some king.
Charlemagne?
Some king, who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, you got your little cherubs up there?
All
Yeah.
kinds of stuff.
And Jesus, that guy.
Hey, all,
He's everywhere.
It's-
all
he's
about
everywhere.
love, I mean, unbelievable. Louis Vuitton bag. Glad I didn't bring my wife.
Uh-oh.
This is
What?
$4,000 worth of Gucci.
Oh my God. What animal was this?
Snake of some sort, boa, I would tell you, from the size of it.
Wow.
And that's real Gucci.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, the good thing you didn't bring the Honorable Mrs. Walker.
Yeah.
Wait, this is Gucci?
Yeah. And this is the modern office. Has its own painting in there.
Oh yeah, paintings, clocks.
Now, who's that guy with his arm around the woman? Is that?
Well, that's a famous painting. It's
that
called
Pan?
it's called The Storm. No,
Oh,
and they're lovers running from the storm.
oh.
Trying to seek shelter, huh?
Yeah, it's a print, but she deserves some nice stuff too. It's Britt's office.
Whose office?
What are these
Brick.
here?
Oh, Brick.
Oh, as Michael travels around the world or all over Europe, that's the thing for the fire department. In Poland, where this is from Poland probably, I'm guessing that that's Polish. It might be Hungarian. In order to keep your building from burning down,
Yeah.
you got to go down and pay money at the fire station, okay, and get yourself a badge, and then you put that badge above your door, okay. And if your building's on fire
And no
and
bag.
you don't have that,
It'll burn.
say goodbye because it's going to burn to the ground.
Wow.
Well, that might not be the case anymore, but that was the case, back
that was
then.
back in the days when there was laissez-faire.
Here's a interesting piece. This is if you were a rich kid back in the 1890s. Okay, this was your tricycle.
Ooh. You be the kid on the block, huh?
Did you see that? One of my favorite pieces in the whole store is this cart up here.
Oh, the look.
What's this? Your favorite piece?
This is one of my favorite pieces.
Like a little carriage.
It's a.
Oh, it is cute.
It's actually a goat cart.
Oh, okay.
You would either have your goat or a dog, a large dog, and it would pull you around in this. This is from the 1870s, 1880s. It was probably made on an estate someplace in the
Yes.
back in Virginia or who knows where.
All right, there goes the clocks again. So it must be time to go.
Must have been here an hour, huh?
Yeah.
For you to get back to doing what you do. And we want to thank you again so much for allowing us to share history, not just with ourselves, but with the whole community. This is one place you need to put on your bucket list if you ever visit the city of Monrovia.
Call ahead.